Ash enters a Pokemon contest. Dawn makes her contest debut. Zoey makes a very strong first impression. Today we'll talk about the Jubilife Pokemon Contest episode. Actually, it's 2 episodes. I like to make throwback episode reviews once a month. If you enjoy that type of content, make sure to like and subscribe and recommend which pair of episodes you want me to cover next. The episode starts with Pokemon letting us know real quick that Ash is joining a contest because they just go right into his performance round before cutting to the intro, and yeah, it makes sense because that's a pretty cool idea. Dawn is giddy about her first Pokemon contest, coming out in a dress, and Ash and Brock are kind of surprised to see the side of Dawn. Dawn drops off some Pokemon lore saying that coordinators in the Sinnoh region always dress up for Pokemon contests, which is of course also a thing in the Pokemon and Diamond and Pearl games. Compared to the Hoenn and Kanto regions, the coordinators here are a bit more elegant. Just like the games, it was Dawn's mom who sent her the outfit, and in there was a choker that Dawn didn't see. And fun fact, chokers made a resurgence in popularity in the mid-2010s, which was after this episode aired, so we can confidently say without a doubt of our mind that Dawn is a fashion icon. A Galamiel shows up holding the choker that was in Dawn's package for some reason, and then we get to see the iconic debut of Zoey, who found it and returned it to her. Dawn tells her mom not to worry, and she drops a banger quote that my mom would say.
When you tell me not to worry is when I worry the most.
Outside, Dawn and Ash begin a quick sparring match to prepare Dawn for her contest, and the BGM that they use during this time is an actual bop, which I haven't heard before. It turns out it's from the Jirachi Wishmaker movie, so I should probably check out the OST sometime soon. Dawn shows off the progress she made with her Piplup's peck, and the battle continues before Aipom just jumps in and bops Piplup in the head with a focus punch. Aipom then proceeds to use Double Team and Swift, and makes one of the hardest performances we've ever seen all by herself. Aipom decided that she really wants to join the contest. Dawn and Brock convince Ash to join, and he officially decides to join the contest. Brock reminds Ash that he needs to enter, and Dawn realizes that she forgot to register too, so they both rush to the contest hall to register. They both insert their Pokédexes into the slot, and then are quickly registered into contests, receiving their contest passes. They also receive a ribbon case, ball capsule, and of course contest rules, which going forward those don't even matter, so why even include them? Ash and Brock have no idea what ball capsules do, and Dawn once again informs us that in the Sinnoh region, Pokemon have to make a dramatic entrance, and shows us exactly how it works. I really like how Dawn might be starting her contest journey, but she isn't treated like a noob and actually has prior knowledge in the contest world. It's honestly a breath of fresh air since the protagonists usually have no idea what anything does. Meanwhile, this episode marks another very important event, as this is where Jesselina makes her debut. In the Hoenn saga of the anime, Jessie used a different moniker for basically every contest, but this time she decides to stick with just one, and it worked out pretty well for her. I'm not a huge fan of her outfit that she chooses, but that's a different story. She wants to use James's Carnivine for this contest, and it was pretty cute seeing the Pokemon playing with the stickers, not gonna lie. Fun fact, they're called Pokemon seals, but in Japanese, Shiru is the word for sticker, so they're kind of interchangeable. At night, they're getting rest when Brock says,
"Oh, Nurse Joy, you're so huggable."
And I don't want to know what our boy is dreaming of. Dawn is having trouble sleeping, so she steps outside and sends out Buneri and Piplup, and has a nice chat with them, and I love the night scene aesthetic here. It's just chef's kiss. She pulls out the very first ribbon that Joanna ever won, which was given to Dawn as a good luck charm. She shows her Pokemon and she hypes them up, saying that they're gonna do great in tomorrow's contest, and I think she's not lying. The next day the contest begins, and as all the coordinators are backstage getting ready, Brock runs in saying that he can't find Dawn anywhere. She's having trouble getting her hair ready when Zoey comes in to help her, and they finally formally introduce each other. Zoey successfully deduces that this must be Dawn's first contest, and she says that she won 1 ribbon already, in 3 contests that she entered. Dawn says that it's her time to win, to which Zoey says that she'll see her in the finals, which I'm sure is not foreshadowing anything. This actually excites Dawn, as Zoey thinks that she has what it takes to make it to the finals in her first ever contest. The appeal stages start, and it's none other than Zoey that gets to go first. She sends out Misdreavus, and with a double team and a Confuse Ray combo, she sends a bunch of ghosty silhouettes into the crowd. A powerful shockwave later really electrifies the crowd as they all go wild. We get to see random coordinators performing their appeal, and my favorite is Bidoof. I'm rooting for you, bro. Next, it's Jesselina's turn to make her Sinnoh Contest debut. She sends out Carnivine to use Bullet Seed on a bunch of lollipops that she threw, and then bites her head for her iconic James combo. And honestly, I love how flawlessly she commands Carnivine already, despite it joining the cast not too long ago, and it isn't even her Pokemon. Ash makes his official contest debut by sending out none other than Aipom, who takes a spotlight with Swift. She then uses Double Team and a Focus Punch combination to pop all of Double Team images, and that was the most creative one thus far in my opinion, honestly. Finally, it's Dawn's turn, and as they pass each other in the hallway, it's time for an iconic high touch verse. Can't forget that. Curtains up, it's Dawn's turn with Piplup. She aims Bubble Beam up, combining the bubbles from the Pokemon seals, and then goes for Peck to pop the bubbles, leaving a dazzling aftermath of sparkles, which makes the crowd go nuts. Everyone is happy with her performance, but now for what really matters. Who makes the top 8 and enters the battle stage? The episode ends there with us not knowing, but it pans to the 4 main characters of the day, so they're probably safe. The next episode wastes no time, and immediately shows the fact that they all made it to the top 8, so congrats to them. I also checked the other 4 random coordinators were also in the background in other shots, at least I'm pretty sure. I don't know why, but I really care for that kind of continuity, so sorry. Anyways, before the battle stage, Dawn has a quick chat with her mom as she congratulates Dawn and sends her on her way after hearing Dawn say, "No need to worry." Now it's time for the battle stage, and after a shuffle the matches are determined. I like how nervous this random girl looks. Ash says that he's ready to win the contest and get the Orberg badge, but man, he just triggered Zoey with that one, and I know she isn't going to take it lightly. Dawn explains that Ash needs to relax because contest battles are different from regular battles, but Ash is overconfident that he's got this. Zoey then steps in and says that Ash should remember that contests and gyms are kind of different, and honestly, she was kind of being a bitch here. What's her problem anyways? Believe it or not, this will actually get expanded upon in a later episode. It's time for the battles to start, and Ash sends out his Aipom and Zoey goes to their Glameow. It's the battle of 2-stage normal type Pokemon that are based on real world animals. How very specific. Ash sends out Aipom to run at Glameow, and Zoey just commands Glameow to sit. Aipom goes for Focus Punch, but Glameow just grabs its tail, which makes Ash lose some points. Glameow then yeets Aipom, which just gets countered with a Swift. After a bit more back and forth, it looks like Zoey's gonna come out on top. But remember, if you knock out the Pokemon before the timer ends, you win regardless of the point total. So with less than 30 seconds on the clock, it's time for Ash's comeback. They engage in a bit more sparring when the timer reaches 5 seconds left, and it looks like Ash is out of it. Glameow is left wide open as the Focus Punch is going right at Glameow, but the time runs out, sparing Glameow and declaring Zoey the winner by a country mile via points. Focus Punch was mere inches away from connecting. What a way for Ash to go out, but I kinda like it honestly. Zoey is left stunned, but she snaps out of it and properly bows for the audience afterwards. Zoey meets up with Ash, Dawn, and Brock backstage, and she still refuses to shake Ash's hand. She admits that if time didn't run out, she would have lost, thanked him for a good battle, and shakes his hand. And this is why Zoey is such a good character. She's really quick to change her mind on things and is really mature. She bluntly tells him that the contest battles aren't his thing though, and like, damn. Dawn says that he only entered because Aipom wanted to enter the contest, and Zoey tells him that Dawn should raise Aipom instead, which is just a little seed being planted into the audience's mind at the time. We see Buneri defeating a Bidoof with Ice Beam, and we just saw him compete earlier, so congrats on the top 8 Bidoof, thank you. Both Dawn and Jessie win their rounds, and make it to the semifinals. Jessie is going up against Nervous Nancy, and Dawn is going up against Zoey. I guess it wasn't foreshadowing after all. The semifinals begins with Zoey going up against Dawn, Dawn goes to Buneri, and Zoey once again goes with Glameow. It's the battle of 2-stage normal type Pokemon that are based on real world animals. How very specific. Dawn goes straight with Ice Beam, which Zoey counters with Shadow Claw, slashing the Ice Beam and also slashing her points. Buneri now goes for Bounce, which Glameow kind of does by bouncing on its tail, and Furry Swipes knocks Buneri to the ground. When Glameow goes for Iron Tail, Buneri is able to grab its tail with her ears. Glameow then spins and eats Buneri. Man, they really like that move. An Ice Beam freezes the floor and makes it hard for Glameow to move around, which is when Dawn takes advantage and starts pummeling the cat Pokemon. Buneri is going in for the finisher, but Zoey commands Shadow Claw on the ground, sending shards which hits Buneri, followed by an Iron Tail just as the timer runs out, resulting in Dawn's defeat and Zoey taking the dub. Dawn takes it very well on the stage and thanks Buneri, but backstage she is teary-eyed speaking with her mom, and honestly, I can't blame her. Joanna cheers her up and she encourages her to talk to her friends and Pokemon after the contest and says that she'll be watching all of her contests. I just love the daughter-mother relationship that they have. We then cut to the final 1 minute of the finals and it's none other than Zoey going against Jessie. Carnivine has got Glameow tied up and it's looking like a no-no for Zozo. Carnivine goes for a bite, but Glameow slips its paw out and lands a direct Shadow Claw, which evens up the points. Furry Swipes followed by Iron Tail, and Jessie runs out of points, and Zoey's declared the winner with 21 seconds left on the clock. And low-key, it looks like Jessie put Zoey in the biggest bind. Get it? But nonetheless, Zoey wins. So Zoey really took out Ash, Dawn, and Jessie in this one to win her contest, and that's high praise. She had no easy rounds. Zoey bids her way farewell and starts an amazing rivalry, which was really fun to watch. Zoey was honestly a fantastic rival and her debut was nothing short of fantastic. My rating for these episodes is a solid 8 out of 10. Great pacing, great performances, great dialogue. It was just really bad. Of course I mean great. Now it's time for some fun facts. Zoey's contest outfit looks really similar to Butler, who was the main antagonist of the Drachi movie, with them even using some BGM from that movie in this episode. Even though this is episode 11, it was the first 2 episodes of the entire Diamond and Pearl series where Team Rocket doesn't blast off. Dawn's win against the scary Bidoof trainer was actually her first trainer battle win too, even though it was low-key just a picture. And yeah, which episode do you want me to cover next? I've got a rival to wait for their arrival, so I'm out. Peace.